was a story that was getting a lot of attention today. I want to kind of cap off the hour with it. So this is what we know. According to the Associated Press, that an F-8, or excuse me, an FA-18 fighter jet slipped off the hangar deck of an aircraft carrier deployed to the Middle East as sailors were towing the aircraft into place in the hangar bay of the USS Harry S. Truman on Monday. That's according to the Navy. Now, the crew members who were in the pilot seat of the Super Hornet and on the small towing tractor jumped out before the jet and the tug went into the Red Sea. One sailor sustained a minor injury, according to the Navy. Now, we did get a statement in from the Navy. They said this: the F-18E was actively under tow in the hangar bay when the move crew lost control of the aircraft. The aircraft and tow tractor were lost overboard. So, Hal, I just have to ask, how does something like this happen? According to the AP, fighter jets are routinely towed around the hangar deck to park them where they're needed for any flight operations or other work. It's unclear whether there will be an effort to recover the jet, which costs, Hal, $60 million approximately, and the incident is under investigation. Do you have any more details, Hal, about how this happened?
All we know, well, first off, the Harry S. Truman is actually on extended deployment, and they have been undergoing or underway with very intense, round-the-clock combat operations fighting the Houthis. So you can bet that everybody on board is a little bit tired. All right, that's always a when you're talking about systems like this, everybody being a little bit tired is also a little bit dangerous. You have a risk that goes with this sort of thing. So I just want to put that in the background, okay? And many times when you find mishaps of this sort, you can often track it back to just too many hours on watch, too high of an operational tempo, and that could be what it is. Although there are reports, unconfirmed, but there were initial reports that said that there had been some sort of attack by the Houthis and that the ship may have done some maneuver at sea very quickly.
Okay.
And that could have been when they were moving that aircraft, towing that aircraft. That could have been where they lost control, which is a movement. Look, when those ships do a sudden movement, the centrifugal force and everything else in there, a lot of things can go wrong, and obviously something did. So I'm just amazed that they are both. I mean, that's almost out of a movie that they were able to jump off at the last moment like that and get out. Because when that thing goes over, usually there's a lot of stuff that goes with it, and that's just amazing that there was no loss of life or any serious injuries.
Yeah, so it was confirmed, I believe, by the Navy that Truman was conducting a quote-unquote evasive maneuver during the incident. We don't know why, but they described it as an evasive maneuver. That's according to a U.S. defense official confirming that to USNI News there with the Pentagon. So what do you make of that?
Well, what I make of that is they were moving the aircraft, and actually, there's probably procedural things that they should have said something, done something to stop all movement of the aircraft, put the brakes on, do something, and they didn't do it. And maybe it was so sudden that they just couldn't get the alarm out, which kind of indicates that if it was a sudden movement and they couldn't get that out, it was an evasive movement to maybe avoid being targeted by a Houthi system. That would be very consistent with what we saw. And of course the result was that they lost the plane, lost the tractor trailer that was pulling it, and went over the side, which is a pretty horrible loss. Those are very expensive, very advanced aircraft. And by the way, I don't know how many, the aircraft are one thing, but also I don't know how many of those towing trailer things they have on the carrier. So now they're down something that they need to move aircraft on the carrier as well. But things like this happen when you've been in a sustained high op tempo or high operational tempo um, combat operations of this sort, and they've been extended over. And I've seen this many times. I've seen it in particularly combat environments,
Yeah.
where you see where they get extended over time, and you look at certain metrics, and you go, more accidents,
Okay.
less operations. Yeah, and it's because they start getting tired and they make mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, according to USNI News, Sailors towing the aircraft took immediate action to move clear of the aircraft before it fell overboard. An investigation is underway. We did learn from the Navy that a U.S. sailor suffered a minor injury when the jet and its tow tractor fell overboard. Hal, last question, just briefly here. Is it in the Navy's best interest to get this jet back, to tow it out of the water? Right now, it's at the bottom of the Red Sea.
There might be some, they were talking about that. They were talking about doing some sort of recovery operation. But of course, as you just mentioned, it's at the bottom of the Red Sea. By the way, it's at the bottom of a Red Sea that is currently a very contested piece of water where there's a high risk of any sort of recovery assets being targeted by the Houthis, which they would. And those, recovery assets are not highly maneuverable things. They tend to go out there and sit very still. And so the thought was that there probably won't be an immediate recovery of this, although I wouldn't rule out, something maybe submarine going in there and trying to identify exactly where it is, mark it, do something like that for later recovery. But it's difficult to pull stuff out that in water that deep.
Yeah. Okay, that was a lot. We always thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
All right, in the meantime here, we're at the top of a new hour. It's 7 o'clock here on the West Coast, 10 o'clock there on the East Coast. That's going to do it for my live time up here on the Live Now desk. Let's take the opportunity to take our first commercial break this hour. When we come back, more top news where that came from.